Man, GTA Online is an old game, and at this point, it should honestly be expired, but somehow it hasn't, and it's been around longer than most Roblox players have been alive, so most of you probably own all the essentials like businesses, armored cars, weapons, etc., and right now, you're just looking for something to have fun with before GTA 6 comes out later this year. And in that case, I've got you covered, because in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 15 coolest vehicles that you must own in GTA Online if you want an experience unlike anything else. Some of these vehicles are really fast, some of them are really beautiful, some are packed to the gills with unique offensive and defensive features, but there's one thing that they all have in common, and that's the pure cool factor. Kicking things off in the number 1 spot, we've got the Dodge Viper, aka the Bravado Banshee. But it's not just any old Banshee model that I'm talking about here. Oh no. Instead, it's the fastest and most insane Banshee of them all, the Banshee GTS. With HSW upgrades, not only can this speed demon blaze down the highway at over 172 miles an hour, making it faster than even the Stinger TT and the Tampa GT, but its design takes heavy inspiration from one of my personal favorite Viper models of all time, the Viper ACR, which set multiple lap time records at various racetracks, ousting even the mighty McLaren P1 at Laguna Seca. And while the in-game version doesn't quite have the same level of downforce or braking as the ACR, it still looks the part with a really mean and extreme aero package, and if you can keep that rear end in check, it will serve you very well in circuit racing. Plus, on the drag strip, there's nothing that's faster than the Banshee GTS in the entire game, if the Banshee GTS gets to stretch its legs. Off the line, a Hakucho Drag or Cyclone 2 is still going to be faster, but once you kick it into 4th gear with the GTS, it will leave everything else in the dust where it belongs. My next cool vehicle pick is one that you guys are probably very familiar with by now if you've ever set foot inside a public lobby, and it's the Toreador, a missile car that also has an alternate submarine mode, allowing it to pull off some insane maneuvers that you can only dream of in a typical car. This thing is definitely inspired by some Bond movie concept vehicle like Wet Nelly from The Spy Who Loved Me, and while the Stromberg is a more fitting copy for that particular movie car, the Toreador kinda does the same job as the Stromberg, but actually it does it even better. For example, the Toreador is faster and it handles better than the Stromberg while also packing a rocket booster in the back for when you need an extreme burst of speed. And because the missiles on this thing will outturn the ones fired by an Oppressor Mark II, you can aim for a hill in your Toreador, hit the boost, fly up in the air and land a shot on the Oppressor before the other guy manages to get one hit on you. Next, we've got a classic 1960s roadster in the Classy Mamba, which is basically a Shelby Cobra ripoff. It's got a big thumping V8 in the front, 2 seats in the middle, and a pair of really fat tires in the back that are presumably there for aesthetics only because they offer next to zero grip once the insane torque of that motor kicks in, and at that point, you're just holding on for dear life, praying to God that you don't run into something or even someone. But when it's not trying to get you killed, the Mamba is actually one of the most fun cars to drive in the game, and it also has this incredible engine sound that you simply will not get in any other sports classic. It's also one of the exceedingly few roadsters in the game, and while the nearly $1 million price tag can seem a bit steep at first, I encourage you to buy this car and try it out for yourself because the driving experience is just so memorable that you'll find yourself coming back to it over and over again and again. It's just that good. And while we're on the topic of weird and quirky machines, might as well mention the Rune Chebrick, which is a Lada, specifically the Vaz 2106 variant with a few bits and pieces mixed in from the Vaz 2101. Not that anybody can tell because all Ladas practically look alike, and they're all Soviet shitboxes with abysmal performance. However, the Chebrick is a one of a kind, and it even comes with a complimentary hard bass livery, which puts a speaker in the boot so you can squat down with your fellow Gopniks and listen to the tunes of your forefathers. We also have the Prolapse livery, which is a clear reference to the Adidas stripes that a lot of Slavic Lada owners put on their cars. Then to further celebrate this car's rustic charm, we also get the option to install cardboard vents and scoops on it, along with other interesting mods like a roof rack, fender mirrors, etc. I think that the Chebrick is a really fun car to customize, and it's also something that you should definitely buy if you want to stand out in the game and look cool. Speaking of cool though, few things are cooler than a James Bond movie car, and that's exactly what we have here with the JB700, which is based on an Aston Martin DB5. Specifically, the MI6 weaponized version of the car driven by Agent 007 in both Goldfinger and Skyfall. I tell you to go buy this thing on Legendary Motorsport for $350,000, but unfortunately, it was removed from the game during the San Andreas Mercenaries downgrade made back in 2023. These days, the only ways to get your hands on one is through the LS Carmy or by grabbing it from either Simeon's showroom or the Vinewood Car Club garage when it makes an appearance in either of those places. By the way, don't get fooled into thinking that its pop culture connection is the only thing that the JB700 has going for it, because even if you discount the fact that it's a Bond car, the JB700 is still one of the best sports classics in the game in terms of looks, driving dynamics, as well as sound. And the JB700W comes with front-mounted machine guns as well as proximity mines, so that one is pretty decent as a weaponized vehicle for casual missions or jobs that you might do in an invite-only lobby. In public lobbies though, you're better off with something that's a little bit more resilient, like the Toreador for example, or even something like the Deluxo, which is actually the next cool vehicle on my list today. It's a DeLorean, which is already enough to give it a reservation on the cool list, but more than that though, it's a flying DeLorean from Back to the Future. And even more impressive here is the fact that it comes with some of the best homing missiles in the game, so anytime you detect a griefer in your vicinity, you can fold up the wheels, take flight, pull a 360 midair, and shove a missile up his butt while giving him the middle finger. The Benefactor Bruiser is another vehicle here that you cannot forget when you're making a cool vehicle list. I mean, just look at this thing. It's like some kind of medieval war camp on wheels. You've got demon warship in the front, cannibalism in the back, and giant torture spikes of death on the sides. Now all we need is some dude rocking out on the roof with flames shooting out of his guitar, and the package would be absolutely complete. And you know what the most hilarious thing is about this triple axle engine of doom? It's born from a Glendale, which is basically a 1970s Mercedes sedan aimed at businessmen. Also, the Bruiser's bark is way worse than its bite, as those front-mounted machine guns are pretty wimpy and you'll have a hard time hitting anything with them. It also goes down in just 2 RPG hits, but don't tell that to the newbie in the server who crapped his pants just now at the sight of this horrifying monster. My next cool vehicle is the TMO2 Kanjali, which is a tank. There you go. That's all you need to know. It's slow. It can't aim at people who are standing right next to it because the gun doesn't depress that far, and the giant silhouette makes it a sitting duck against competent pilots flying strike aircraft like the B-11 or the Hydra. However, none of that stuff matters once you hit someone with the giant gun up top, because that big cannon does even more explosive damage than an RPG. So any vehicle like the Toreador that normally requires 2 RPGs to blow up will go down in just 1 hit from the Kanjali's cannon. And while you're inside, you're 100% protected from all manner of small arms fire, because this tank is even more bulletproof than the armored Kuruma. So you want cool? There you go. Nothing cooler than a battle tank. Except maybe for the F-160 Raiju, which is literally an F-35B stealth fighter jet. And yes, this is the one with the VTOL power, so you can hover in place and shoot missiles at your enemies, or you can also pull out that ginormous explosive autocannon and mow them down with a single burst. With a top speed of over 232 miles an hour, not only is the Raiju sneaky, but it's also the fastest vehicle in the entire game, and it can tank up to 3 homing missiles, so taking this thing down is no trivial matter, even if you somehow manage to spot it while its stealth mode is active. In my opinion, the Raiju is the best all-rounder in the air, and in the correct hands, it can be just as formidable as the Pyro or Starling in a dogfight, if you master the VTOL, that is, because those thrusters allow you to pull off some really insane high angle of attack maneuvers like its Ace Combat. The FH-1 Hunter is another aerial killer that we just have to put in the cool vehicle list because, come on, this thing's an Apache helicopter. Once you find yourself a co-pilot to sit in the back of this thing as well, you've got control over the most devastating chin-mounted autocannon in the entire game. Like, okay, the one on the Savage might still be a little bit better in terms of complete destructive power, but that thing is fixed and only points in the same direction as the Savage, while the cannon on the FH-1 Hunter can swivel and aim up or down, so you can actually track enemies independently from the pilot. And while he's firing missiles, you can gun down the more annoying threats on the ground with your cannon from the back seat. The Hunter is also one of the toughest air vehicles in the game and can tank 3 RPGs or 3 homing missiles, which makes it a bona fide flying tank. And here's another tank for you, except this one's a little bit different. It doesn't actually come with any armor, although it weighs as much as a small condo and is as large as a minibus. It also doesn't come with a giant cannon, but it has something even better going for it. Some of the best homing missiles in the game, alongside the Ruiner 2000. Now, I'm obviously talking about the wheeled tank that is the Vigilante. It has all the weight and heft of a tank, without the armor of one, but it also has the speed of a race car, and that means you can go really, really fast while plowing traffic out of your way as you race towards your objective in a mission. And I say mission specifically here because the Vigilante is the only weaponized car of its kind that you can actually use in heists and missions that normally don't allow weaponized vehicles, such as the Oppressor or the Sparrow, for example. There's also the Tampa, but the Vigilante is way faster for moving from point A to point B. In fact, it's the fastest non-HSW car in the game, and homing missiles are even easier to use than a roof-mounted turret that you have to aim manually while driving. Next, we have the Apocalypse Dominator, which is basically the Mustang from Death Race. You get two 50 cal machine guns up front, lots of armor all around the car, and a giant steel tombstone in the rear. And yes, you absolutely can detach that tombstone and smack pursuing vehicles in the face with the force of a Hulk punch. That thing weighs a ton, quite literally, and when the proximity mines don't work for you, you can always count on your tombstone to take out griefers. The Apocalypse Dominator also has a rocket boost and a jump feature, similar to many other arena cars, and while the speed isn't all that impressive, this car is so much fun to customize and drive that I just had to put it on the list. And because you can never have enough big stuff in the game, here's a vehicle that will satisfy even the largest of appetites. Meet the Kasaka. It's a guided missile submarine that you can pilot and move around the map like it's a regular old boat, and you also get to launch the single most lucrative heist from this very sub, aka the Cayo Perico heist, which is the quickest way to earn over $1 million in GTA Online. Cayo Perico aside though, the Kasaka as a vehicle I feel is very underrated since it's a bit of a tank by design and it can soak up 12 homing missiles, but most enemies won't even make it that far because the Kasaka's guided missiles will make short work of anyone, anywhere around the map. It's a global threat, and if somebody sneaks up close to you, there's always the periscope mounted turret for close range defense. If nothing else, you can just dive underwater and go off the radar, or you can teleport to an entirely different part of the map and escape the engagement altogether if you so please. The Ruiner 2000 is also worthy of a mention here because it's heavily inspired by Kit from Knight Rider, and while it doesn't have the molecular bonded armor shell for protection from explosives, the Ruiner still packs a mean punch with those homing missiles, and it even has a jump feature along with a parachute that you can use to glide in the air. However, if you really want that futuristic Knight Rider armor, you can still get it by ordering the improved Ruiner 2000 from the fully loaded VIP work mission. This thing can tank over 25 missiles, it comes with a missile lock-on jammer of its own, and it has an unlimited magazine depth, so you'll never run out of homing missiles and you can keep wrecking the entire lobby all by yourself. Last but not least, for one of the most underrated bikes in the entire game, we've got the Oppressor Mark I, which used to be pretty hot stuff back in the day, but now it's been overshadowed by its more advanced, more expensive cousin, the Oppressor Mark II. Still, if you just want to have fun and glide around from building to building while blowing stuff up with your missiles, the Mark I is easily the better of the two as it requires actual skill to drive properly, and there's never a dull moment in the learning process because you're constantly observing and reacting to the environment and world around you and trying to figure out how you can push the bike just a little bit further in the air with every jump. But with all that being said, that's about does it. These are all the cool vehicles I've got for today. I'm sure you players out there have several cool vehicles of your own that you really like, so please tell me all about them in the comments. I might also do a part 2 of this video in the future with even more cool vehicles, so let me know if you guys like this one, and I'll see if we can make a part 2 happen sometime later. Thank you so much for watching this video. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed. Consider subscribing to the channel if you are new and you want to see more GTA 5 online content just like this. Also check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically twitch.tv/hazardoushdtv, and I'll see you guys in the next GTA 5 online video. Adios amigos.